Hello guys and welcome to Music Minute, the hot theory guide to learn those extra concepts the right way, brought to you by StephenJax.com. My name is Steve and today we're going to talk about the names of the notes. So I hope you guys remember from last time that we have a single note, but I've done something really cool. I have made a button. If I click this button, I get my note to play. In fact, I can click it many times. I know you're all jealous about my button, because now I can play music. But now you're thinking, wait. We spent a lot of time last time making many different notes. Where did those go? And my answer is, oh, they're still here. First, we'll start with that open octave. Here's our bass pitch, and here's the octave higher. Then I'll quickly fill in the other 11 notes that we found last time. Okay, all 12 are there now. So, clearly we need more buttons than just one to play all 12, or 13 if you include the higher octave. So let me add more buttons. Okay, it looks pretty good. We have one button per note. Ready? Let's name these things. Let's start with letters. Let's go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Wait a second. Okay, let's try that again. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Where's H, guys? In music, there is no H. It actually starts over again at A. So really, this looks like this. Bear with me for a second. We have 12 pitches, but only 7 letter names. If this note over here is A, this note is also A. This stems from an older practice, coming from the ancient Greek and medieval theorists. For a long time, they only had 7 notes. But the 7 notes that they used were only these notes. You can see that we have a gap between A and B, C and D, D and E, F and G, and G and A. Notice that B and C and E and F are only one spot away from each other. But then they found out something kind of interesting. If you were to play B and F together, this makes an interval called a tritone and doesn't sound very good. To fix this problem, all they had to do was add one note. They added this note, and if you play this note with F, it sounds pretty good. So they fixed the problem. The problem with this is there's still a problem. Because now if you play this note and E, it doesn't sound very good. So they added another note. As you probably have noticed, we have a note here that corresponds with this one, and a note here which corresponds with this one. If you were to play this note with this note, there's still a problem. So they came up with this note. This continues 2 more times. If you were to play this note with D, it also sounds bad. So they invented this note. And finally, this note with G doesn't sound very good either. So they invented this note. And now you can finally see the whole picture. This layout right here is the current piano. But now, what do we call these notes? The note names look like this. These symbols might be a little confusing, so let me tell you what they mean. This hashtag looking thing, or a pound sign, or its true name, an octothorpe, is equal to a sharp. When you sharp a note, it simply means go to the next note. This symbol is called a flat. When you flat a note, you go down one note or go one before. The easy way to remember this is if you sit on something sharp, you go up, and if you're driving your car and you get a flat, you go down. And so this note is called A sharp or B flat. A sharp because we go up one, B flat because we go down one. Likewise, this note is called C sharp. This note is also called D flat. This can be D sharp or E flat, F sharp or G flat, G sharp or A flat. Customarily, it's a lot easier to see this pattern if you start on C. Pardon me 1 second while I refinagle. Here we have the exact same pattern. We have C, D, E, and F are still next to each other. G, A, B, and B and C are still next to each other here. You have the same gaps that are filled with the same notes. We are just starting in a different place. I'll fill in the letter names with the sharp versions, okay? Please note that the distance between C to C sharp is the same distance as C sharp to D, and that it's the same distance as D to D sharp and D sharp to E. On the piano, it's a little difficult to see this because some people freak out that the black notes are not the same as the white notes and they're scary, and the white notes are nice because you can play these and they sound good, but then you play these and they don't sound as good. But don't worry, they are all equal. You just have to know how to play them, okay? Please remember that they are really like this, where everything is equally spaced. And there's nothing to be afraid of, okay? The black notes are our friends too, okay? This pattern that we see here will continue forever, so give me a second while I add more notes. Just like the previous lesson, we have 2 octaves represented. There technically should be another C sharp right here, but don't worry about that, okay? We're chopping it off just to make it easier to see. If you notice, there are 2 black keys here, and 3 black keys here, and then 2 more, and then 3 more. So we have this pattern of 2, 3, 2, 3. This sequence is a pattern. It will continue forever. We have C, and then 2 black notes, and then F, and 3 black notes, and then C, and 2 black notes, and F, and 3 black notes, and forever. The only way that this will stop is if you can no longer hear the pitch being played. Eventually, with this pattern, you will reach a note that is too high or too low, and you won't be able to hear it, but maybe your dog can. Otherwise, this octave pattern will continue forever. In fact, a standard piano has just over 7 octaves. In fact, here's a picture of one now. Pause the video and check out the resemblance. If you're ever at a normal piano where they don't have the letter names on the keys, and you remember that the notes are coming in order, but you don't remember where the pattern starts, you can remember where one note is by this trick. The letter D is in the middle of the 2 black keys. This is also true over here. D is in the middle of the 2 black keys. I know it's a dumb trick, but I've had a lot of students tell me this works. So now we've got our notes laid out. We can even play them with accuracy. The only thing left to do is to assign a particular pitch that is universal to everything. There's a general note that is very easy to come by, and that's this middle C. The reason it's called middle C is that it's in the middle of the piano. If we were to see a full piano, middle C would be right here. This is a very generic pitch, but this is not the one that is usually anchored. The A above middle C is usually the one that people refer to for tuning practices. This A, the A above middle C, has a frequency of 440 Hertz. It sounds like this. If you know this one frequency, you can do the math to find out the other ones, just like we did in the previous video. Therefore, all your notes can be standardized globally. As a side note, A used to be 432, hundreds of years ago. Since then, we have gradually gone up 8 Hertz. This, of course, affected all the other notes. Some of you who do not play piano and play guitar instead, or play violin or flute or another instrument, perhaps you were wondering why I covered the piano first. Please don't get discouraged. Please don't think that this doesn't apply to you. The piano does govern all of the musical language. On the instruments that are not based off the piano directly, this E to F relationship is true. In fact, you do not have a note in between E and F on your instrument. The reason why is because of the piano keyboard. Same thing with B and C. You might have already learned that this note, C, is actually B sharp, and it is. This note, in turn, is also called C flat. Remember, if you were to sharp a note, it goes next door, up one, and if you were to flat a note, it goes down one. So of course, these are correct. In future videos, I will discuss how other instruments work, so don't worry. And here is what these two octaves sound like if you were to play one note at a time, going up what is called the chromatic scale by playing every single note. And those are the names of the 12 notes in the musical language.